There is a subject that, especially since last week's episode, seems to keep coming back to me. It is the uncomfortable truth that making art, and whether that's writing or painting or composing or whatever kind of form of art you do, it doesn't necessarily pay the bills. For most of us, the creative work has to coexist with a day job. So how do authors and artists alike actually make that work? How do we find the time and the energy and the headspace to create when there's a whole other working life demanding our attention? It's a question that keeps coming back because, well, it's a reality that most of us know only too well. And today, I'm happy to talk about this with my good friend and fellow author, MK Gibson. With all that said, welcome back to another Butcher Shop.
Today in the art world, I felt like I need to talk about something, so I'm making a recording right now to talk about something in the art world. But who am I going to talk about it with? Blah, blah, blah.
I actually did, and the funny thing is that I have it pre-recorded, but I'm not sharing anything, so I figured you could just listen to that in post. And so now people are going to get the introduction, and then I was going to edit out the fact that there's not going to be an introduction, just say, hey, how are you? Like it would.
No, leave it in now.
Yeah.
Leave it in now. That's what all 6 listeners
You know
want,
what? There's 16 right now.
16 listeners.
On
All
Spotify,
right.
and about 1,500.
Did you subtract me as one of the subscribers? Because I don't listen back to our stuff. So
you missed a really cool episode with another artist. If you didn't listen to the podcast,
I said our stuff. I mean, yeah, okay, sure. I'll pull it. I'll check it out. I feel cheated on. That's all I'm saying.
You said you were gonna be okay with this.
Clearly, I was not.
You know what's actually funny? It's gonna sound really mean. I don't mean it mean. I actually mean it as it being funny. But a while back you said this is your show. I'm just a sidekick. Why is it all up to me? And now
true.
You're like, oh,
Yep.
Why did you pass me? I'm like, well, because you were the sidekick and I interviewed someone else for a change. But I appreciate you. You know that.
Oh no, dude. No, dude. I'm just all good in the hood. Do not worry whatsoever.
Good.
All good.
You can sit and cry in your little corner when we're done recording.
I'm okay with that too.
Good. All right. So basically, what we
Anyways,
what you were gonna ask me how I'm doing. You know what?
no, I just called you an asshole.
Okay,
That's all.
I thought maybe for a change you were gonna ask me how I am doing. Nobody ever asks me how I'm doing.
I am curious, but you know what? Not anymore. No, actually, how are you?
You know what? I'm okay. Let's move on.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. No, you know what? I am okay. This is
Screw this
top
verbal
season.
foreplay.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it so much, but I guess we're human, so we have to do this. And our listeners, all 16 of them are human too. So
15, take me off that list, and take you off the list if you subscribe to your thing. 14.
Hey, you know what? I actually listen to my own podcast every week to try and learn from what I did last week.
Sure. I do that a lot on the things on some of the other podcasts.
On other things. So who feels past now?
I'm sorry, that's the host's job. It's not the sidekick's job. So.
All right, enough of that shit. What I wanted to talk about today, and while I came up with the subject, I thought either this is going to be a really good subject to talk to you about, or it's going to be absolute shit because you don't have a day job. But what I wanted to talk about was how artists, authors, or any form of creative person,
Some creative, yes,
finds time and energy and headspace and whatever you need to be creative in a world where you also have a day job or a family or whatever part of life that demands your attention. And this is something that has been coming back over the last few episodes, also outside of episodes, like you and I talked about this earlier this week.
Oh, of course,
Yeah, but also with Jessie, who I interviewed last week, she was fully convinced that I was a full-time artist because of how much I do. And I said, well, I can easily make 40 hours a week as an artist, but I still clock in another 32 hours a week for my boss because I still have a day job.
Right.
And I don't know, it got me thinking, like, yeah, how do I actually do this? And from there, I went to, like, how do you actually do this? Because now that your family is at home because of summer holiday or summer vacation,
right.
What do you guys call it? Summer holidays?
Well, summer vacation.
Summer vacation.
because
you
my wife's a teacher, my kid's a student, so
yeah,
they,
exactly. So you're juggling your time between spending time with your family, working on a new book or whatever
right.
stories, editing you got going. And then there's me being the annoying little shit who is also talking to you on Discord, like, hey, how are you doing? Do you want to record something? So how do we do that, actually, you know?
Well, I mean, it's not just us. Obviously, this is just we're just talking about a problem. Not problem's not the right word. Condition at large for people like how do you make time for your creativity? Obviously, it is like you said, whatever your creative outlet happens to be. It's time. It's time to not just do it. It's time to master it. It's time to get better at your craft. It's time to research. It's time to do everything because time is money. Time is valuable, and time is limited. So where do you find the time? And it's like there's the old axiom of if you care, you'll make the time, which is true. But then again, like if you have a significant other or a child or a partner or whatever, then that if you want to maintain that relationship, you better have some time for them as well. Now, unless you're both autistic, have parallel play, then hey, that's fantastic. So you don't actually need to make all time. And there's no disrespect in anybody like that, as we're finding out most of our family happens to be. But that parallel play at minimum, like being in the same room and just showing somebody that you care is vital. So, and if you're creative people tend to have this, unless, there are a few people who collaborate well. So most of us are like solo artists and work on our own thing. And you might share with some other people, but long story short, it is one of the hardest things to do. Like my old job, after I retired from the Air Force, I was a government contractor. I was a tech writer for almost 7 years. So I work on these technical reports all day long. But come evening time, I'm writing fiction, and so I get home and see the wife, see the kid, and once everything was stable, meaning like dinner's over, kids playing, wife's reading a book or whatever, then I spend the next couple of hours like giving up like TV time. What people would do is TV time or whatever in the evening time to then write. And then, you carve out these little bits of time. So when I went to full-time writing, it's because I could switch. I had saved up enough and invested enough, and I had enough passive income coming in that I didn't need to have a full-time job anymore. I do not make a living off my writing, but it helps like fill in the gaps, if that makes any sense. But even then, it's like you have to, if you stay at home, like there's that, if you work from home, anybody who works from home knows the fact that yes, you work from home, but also for some reason you're compelled to also take care of the house chores that are also why you're at home. So
I tend to be quite disciplined in that, actually.
Yeah. In what way?
In the fact that during work time, because I work 4 days a week, and 3 of those days I work from home.
Right.
Well, 2 basically, unless I have like stuff that I need to go to location for. Anyway, whenever I work from home, I think I'm disciplined enough to turn on the washing machine only in my coffee break.
Okay.
I actually do not like do house chores or whatever during work time.
I do, because I'll be working on something and then like my brain feels like it goes stop. You can't do anymore. Like your time is now up. Ding. I am out of thinking juice. Get up and walk away. Whether I'm writing something, working on art, I can feel like this attention span getting shorter. Even with the meds I'm on, it gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And like, I need to get up and just walk now because I need to like think about maybe the section I'm writing, or I need to think about something I'm creating or working on. Like I need to take a step back and let the brain kind of process something. And I use
that is something completely different than, doing chores or whatever. Like, of course, like whenever.
Well, no, but I use the chore time to then reset myself.
Oh, okay. So I definitely work in a different way then, because I also like get up and take a walk around the house to sort of reset the brain, to reset the attention span. Of course you do that, but that takes you like 1 or 2 minutes and then you go back to work. So, and here's the funny thing, like I've said it many times whenever I'm in the office, and when they ask like, why don't you come to the office more often? I'm like, do you guys know how fucking productive I am when I work in a room where I am alone, where I'm the only person to speak or make a sound? I think I work 2 days in 1 day when I work from home. And I feel like I work not even half a day whenever I'm in the office, because there's constantly people asking stuff. There's people wanting to chat with you, checking in with you. Hey, how you doing? Which is all great and nice. And I guess that's part of having the job too. But I want to work. Like, let me work. Why am I here if not to work?
I'm a task switcher. I like, helicopter. I bounce whatever the term happens to be. So I'll be working on something, and then I reach like a certain point that I like. Okay, let's get up and walk. And as I walk, I'll walk by. Okay, these dishes need to be put away, and then I'll walk to the next place. And I'll circle back to all right, sit back down, write for a bit, and or work on something for a bit. And if here's the thing, if I'm in the zone, then I'm in the zone. I don't move. But sometimes I'm like it's like you're just have a pickaxe swinging at it like you're just hitting rock, and like you haven't gotten to the good stuff yet. It's like nothing's. It's like I'm chiseling, but nothing's really coming away. But sometimes you find that it's deep vein of like something. Oh, now I'm in it, and then when I'm in it, I'm in it. But sometimes it's like something's not clicking, and when it's not clicking, don't force it, because that you just get, you get worse product. But sometimes.
Now here's the $1,000,000 question though, because you mentioned like when I'm in the zone, and I suddenly remember this interview with Stephen King, who is really into getting into his zone when he's writing. When he puts on the same song on repeat until he is done with his 10,000 words a day or something like that. Do you have a way to sort of mechanically force yourself into that zone, or does it just happen to you?
So let's say I'm working on a book, okay, and the story is becoming like most of the stories are when I'm writing it, something I both love and hate at an equal measure, because just get it out of my fucking head already. But it's not coming out, it's not right or whatever. So in the evening times when I do take a break, I will have for example, I have my notepad out, and I'm just kind of watching dumb TV, but I'm taking notes to myself about what I could be doing better on the story. So when it comes the next morning, I sit down to write, I've already mentally organized myself without realizing it. I'm still writing from a place of like, I'm pantsing because I'm kind of going with the flow, but I get into that certain space. Now I can't just sit down and start writing. That's the downside. I can't just wake up, all right, and write. I wake up, drink some coffee, watch a video or something like that, get myself into like a kind of thing. And then usually music helps. I do have a certain playlist for certain types of books.
I saw you post one actually the other day.
Yeah, that's like one of my villains ones. Yeah. I have a villains one that is just, it's a comedic narcissist. It is literally just a playlist. It's about 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes long. That is just basically someone who's is a narcissistic prick would play, and that's because that's the villainous character, because he knows he's a villain. He doesn't care, so it's like, but it's like, it's not all like, metal and thing like that. Actually far from it. It's about just like, I'm the man, I'm the best. Even like a Taylor Swift song, like a Shake It Off kind of thing. It's just like, yeah, who cares what everybody says about me? I'm the best. It, like literally that one song from the Karate Kid, I'm the best, you're the best around, like plays. Like this is like someone feeding their own ego. And I have a list of these songs that I play that like, it gets me, because it's quirky, it's weird. And since I'm writing a villainous comedy, it gets me into that mood. But some people don't realize, even in that playlist, there's a certain section that it's like basically like it switches from like basically like a Queen song, I Want It All, to I Want Somebody to Love Me, because deep down he wants to be loved. And then like in the books, he does find somebody to love, and then it doesn't work out. So now he turns like to everybody who breaks up, like, you suck and I'm the best and I don't need you anyway, and so the rest of the playlist goes, it's kind of like, it's a breakup. Basically it's a breakup playlist.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have days where I literally get up and know that today is going to be one of those days. And I get up.
There's some days I reach out to you and I'm like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm working. Like you are like, I am in the middle of a thing and I'm in the zone. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've kind of found a way to get myself into the zone, or at least when it comes to painting, that is. For books, it's when I'm writing, it's very, very different, because I'm starting to kind of suspect that I am a seasonal writer, because last year I hammered out Immortal Design, the first draft, in almost 2 months. That was a full book. It was like, just take a deep breath, cough, and it just came out.
Right.
I haven't edited anything since, and now it is almost August, and I feel, you can kind of feel that sensation of, spring is or autumn is coming a little bit closer, and with that I kind of start feeling that urge again to start writing and editing. So I kind of feel that with the writing, it will come to me whenever the time is there, and I've kind of learned to accept that, or to trust that it will come back. maybe this sounds like a super cheap excuse, like I don't have to write all summer, I can just paint. I'll write in autumn or whatever, winter. But it really actually does feel like that. And in terms of art, I'm really starting to notice a pattern where I sit down, and because my work is often so small, so tiny, I really need to lower my heart rate. And once I get that done, I'm in the zone, man. I can be there for hours on end.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's very nice. It's like a drug.
No, that's
it's very
cool.
nice.
What happens to me is like, so for a lot of people, like, you know, whatever ism you happen to have, you know, because they all kind of like the Venn diagram starts to overlap. There's this feeling like if I don't open the document, I haven't failed yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like why kids like me were the kind of kids that did their homework but never turned it in because I didn't want to be, like, deep down, I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want the teacher to say I was right or wrong because it's a Schrodinger's cat situation. Now, by not turning in my homework, I'm ultimately hurting myself. But it is, in my mind, like, as a young person, it's like, I did the work, but I hate to be told I'm wrong or be called out for being wrong and kind of thing. So there's this almost this fear of failure before you even start kind of thing. So sometimes, like, that's the procrastination kicks in. Like, if I just don't open the document, I haven't failed yet. Because if I open the document and you don't start working, then I feel like a failure. So sometimes it's like open the document, whatever the document happens to be, a piece of art, writing, work, whatever, and look at it. And then, like, just look at the first few words and just kind of move it around a little bit, like tinker there. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, now you're into it. It's kind of, it's just a warm up. It's like stretching before. It's like we joked earlier about foreplay, you know, but it's you have to foreplay your brain into like getting into the mood. You have to get yourself into the mood.
But I mean, obviously that foreplay is different for everybody. And we talked about this before, especially when it comes, not even especially when it comes to writing. I think I have this with art even as often, if not more often, is I have that blank document in front of me. And for me, it's not the fear of, you know, if I don't start, I cannot fail. For me, it's the when I start, I have to finish it. Knowing the amount of work I need to start putting into that.
That is so true. Yeah.
And that's the threshold for me. Is like, that's what I need to get over before I, you know, put my pen to paper or in whatever kind of form. So,
well, I also write very linearly. I'm not one of those people that like, I'll start here, but I'll take a break and write the ending, or I'll work on chapter 17. I'll come back to chapter 4. Like, some people do that. I'm like, no, get out of my, I can't. I am a beginning to end. I'm a beginning to end kind of guy, you know, and like, and when I get done, I can bounce back and forth because I have the product in front of me, at least the draft, you know, and then I can like, oh, well, okay, something on chapter 17 works, but now that I wrote that there, I should erase it in chapter 26, or I set this up in chapter whatever, I can pay off better here. That's where you can like look at time as like, you know, fourth dimensionally.
I'm kind of getting this, you probably remember this. We played Destiny 2 with the latest expansion where they had the 9, and the 9 can move people through time, but they can only move it forward.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
And I feel like with the no, whether it makes sense or not doesn't matter. Why I'm thinking of this is that it feels as if with writing it is like that, but the other way around. You cannot pull shit forward. You can only go backward into your book.
Well, no, I've actually gotten better at that. I'm writing something and I'm like, nope, this is future reveal. Stop it. Stop. Like, that is like, we've also been...
Yeah, but when you wrote something and you realize that it doesn't fully connect to what you've written prior to that, you can go back into the book to then sort of retroactively.
Well, I just cut it out and put in a new document, and like, and when I reach that point, I'll know to put it back in. It sounds dumb, but it's like, okay, so I've done this long enough that like I've written something. I'm like, okay, this is cool. But we've always joked about, like, you know, the horny teenagers on prom night. You pull out all the tricks, you know, kind of thing. So a lot of times when someone's writing something, you can usually tell when they're really trying to hook you at the very beginning because they're putting all the cool stuff up front. But that coolness doesn't get you through the second act. You know, you need the right amount of breadcrumb and the right amount of meat, you know, in the beginning to get someone interested into this sandwich that you've created, you know, this beginning ending, but the middle is your stuff. So
the middle is where it often gets boring.
And that's also what usually gets overlooked. A strong opening and a strong ending, but that middle kind of meanders. That happens in books, movies, TV shows constantly, you know, all the time, you know. You know, even in a piece of artwork, you can sell someone who's got a bold outline, but like, you know, their color theory isn't that great or like that. But like, there's strong elements to it, but the overall composition just doesn't work because the middle's weak, you know. So I think if people like, you know, when you're working on something, you go, okay, I see what I'm doing here, but like, stop it. You don't have to put all the tricks right now. You can move this to later, you know? And I caught myself doing that just on this latest book I'm working on. Like I caught this line, like doesn't go here. And because I'm trying to establish, but people already know what the book is about. This is like the 7th book in a series. I don't need to reestablish. You can move this to a later point and it'll play better. Be smart about this, Gibby. So I do. I just cut it out and put it like, and I just literally I like future document or something. I have like different, like I have these extra names or a passage or a rant or a phrase. Like it's right, but it's not right for right here. So I do try to like, I write linearly, but I've gotten better at like having instinct to say, this isn't the right time for this. Let's, you know, let's be patient and see where something else pops up. It'd be a better place to put this. And usually I'm right. You know, most of the time I'm right about it. Sometimes, go back and maybe add it in. I don't know, or just rewrite it. But you try to think fourth dimensionally, and it's hard. It's a very hard thing to do. Because trying to see the beginning and the end at the exact same time is, well, that's omniscient. And like, unless you mapped out everything, you can't, you're not a time worm, but
what's funny is that we started with the question of, how do we even find time? And here we are picking apart our entire creative processes. I like that.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Is because like I said in the beginning, like there's the old adage is the truest. Like if you care, you'll make the time, and that is both not just for art, but like anything in your life. If you want to exercise, you will find the time. If you want
something to happen, you have to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. If you want a better relationship, then you will find ways to make the time to put in the work to do the thing.
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing that goes through my mind, and I think it crosses a lot of artists' mind. When we want something to happen, we will make time, and suddenly we start doing what I usually do: is I work 8 hours for my boss, then I work 8 hours for me, then I sleep, and I repeat the thing all over again. And we've talked about it before. The only reason why I'm not completely burned out or even lost my entire sanity is because art is my sanity. However, I can also totally imagine that, going 16 hours a day is very demanding. Art, no matter how much you love it, creating something that in the end you are happy with costs energy. And I can totally see how people would literally destroy themselves working for a boss than when working on something they love doing, but they're still working, and then sleep and, rinse and repeat. If you're enjoying this podcast and want to support what we do, head on over to patreon.com/sandybutchers. Members get early access to new content, and higher tier supporters can join the Mail Club, where I send out exclusive art loot up to 4 times per year. It's a great way to get some unique physical goodies while helping keep the podcast going. Check it out at patreon.com/sandybutchers. And thanks for your support. Let's get back to the show.
Well, I'll even add on to that shit sandwich there. I'll dogpile into that, but with little payoff, because nothing's worse than putting a lot of effort in and you're not getting what it is that you want. So think about things like, let's say it's like, maybe monetarily, you want to get paid for your thing, but you're not, or you're trying to progress in a certain style, but you're not where you think you should be. There's always you got to do it for the love. And then hopefully after the love comes some kind of reward, maybe ? But you don't know what that reward happens to be. And that kind of sucks. So yeah, you got to love it. And you gotta want to keep doing it, but also you set realistic expectations. Like, for example, like you and I have a different art style, obviously, but we have certain similarities in our appreciation of art. For example, I have a very hard time drawing from reference. But I have a very easy time making things up in my head. I can't because I look at the reference, look at my hand, and my hand's not doing the reference, and I break down. Like there's a breakdown between my eyes and my hands. But if I'm making it up, there's no wrong. So the other day I was having some cracker and cheese and some little charcuterie with one of our neighbors, great people, and she showed me some of her art, and she is goddamn, she does realism so well, and it's just like the kind of like a ballpoint pen and 60 hours of looking up, and boom, it's like her hand's a photocopier, but with a ballpoint pen, and it's so good, it's so talented. I could never do that, and young me would have like just lost his shit. He would be like, this sucks and I can't. Like, no, it's just not I don't have that's not my skill set. If I practice really hard, I will still not be able to do what she can do naturally. You know, she has refined her skills, but I've refined mine in my own way. We have just a different style. So that's the other thing. You have to be very honest with yourself. It's like, you know, if you want to sing metal, but your voice is country, you better lean into the country, you know, like you might have like you might have a black metal spirit, but your fingers play the banjo.
You know what?
So
there is heavy metal yodeling right now. It's trending on Insta.
Well, everything trends on it.
So
sure, but I mean, yeah.
I guess there's
and
always
I'm sure that'll last for so longer than 8 seconds, you know, of popularity.
Yes.
You know, it's the internet. But it's like, again, I'm not trying to say,
yeah.
I'm not trying to pigeonhole anybody in their creative process. Obviously, like try new things. Like practice a little bit of realism, whatever that was be. And then how does that help you in your surrealism, or how does this yodeling help your metal? You know, exactly. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, it's like, I did have the benefit when I was a kid of like taking certain martial arts, and my old instructor, he gave me the book of 2 books to read on my own. It was like, one was called The Way Alone, because I tend to I helped him teach class, but I allowed to practice on my own a lot. And the second book was The Tao of Jeet Kune Do by Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee was as much martial arts as it was philosophy. And one of the philosophy was learn everything you can and dismiss what doesn't work for you. And that's as simple as that, because everybody's style in martial arts or in life is a personal style. If I am very tall and you are very short, not in real life, but you know what I'm saying, but like you will not be able to kick as far as I can kick and punch as far as I can punch, but I will never get my hands in as close as you can for infighting. Therefore, we will have a completely different styles. So it is stupid for you to try to learn my way and me try to learn your way. We can learn from each other, but we will not adapt. I can adapt your style, but I cannot learn your style. And that is what people have to really come to the realization in their artistic process. So when you're making the time, don't beat your head against a rock for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. And I kind of love how this is really leaning into, you can't shoehorn people into working in a certain way. You know, for some reason, before we started recording, I thought of the 5 a.m. Writers Club, and I immediately like I stopped breathing. I was like, I cannot imagine getting up at 5 a.m. to write my damn book or paint whatever picture. At 5 a.m. That's when my husband leaves the bed and I turn the other cheek. I'm just
I have writer friends that do that. I mean, but they just don't sleep much.
No, exactly. Like I can understand that this works for some people, but I see a lot of people. No, exactly. Like not for me either. And there are a lot of people out there who go, well, there's this 5 a.m. Writers Club. Oh, I can finally be part of this community. And then they find out that community or that way of working is not for them. And then they feel really bad because they cannot function in that community. They can't be part of that. That's okay. Find another community. Find this 5 p.m. Writers Club, you know, whatever. Tell your husband or tell your wife to do the cooking or your husband to do the cooking. So you can have that little half hour. I'm trying to be not sexist here. You know, I mean,
let your partner take care of something while you attempt.
Yeah.
But that's also the thing. Also, find somebody. That is the other thing. Find somebody that supports what you're doing. By the way, that is key.
I've said this many, many times to George. George is my husband, by the way, for the viewers and listeners. I've said it many times to him. Like, I could not have imagined life. I mean, first of all, without him, but also I'm so romantic. But also how life would be if he did not believe in what I did. Like, for example, like right now, a very a present time thing that is happening is that I'm actually going to work less for my boss. Starting in January, I'm not going to work 4 days a week. I'm going to work 3 days a week. The only reason that is possible is because my husband and I, agreed that art is so important to me that it's okay if I, drop the ball on some salary, because if that gives me time to work on more art, you know what? That salary will come back in the form of money that I get from.
Dude, that's what happened with us. After I retired from the Air Force, I did, like I said, nearly 7 years of government work, and I reached a breaking point. I was just like, it was both mentally and professionally. I reached a certain wall. Some people I was working with going on in my life. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm breaking. And I already reduced myself to part time because I still made a good salary even at part time because I would take my son to school, I'd go to work, I'd do like 6 hours of work instead of 8, and then I'd come pick him up from school because we lived an hour away, so it was like 45 minutes to an hour to drive to him to school. I went to work, picked him up, drive home. So that was my day. Repeat, 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 repeat. And it was starting to wear on me. And I came to her and I said, "Hey, here are the numbers. Here's how much I have passive income coming in. Here's how much our outgoing bills happen to be. Like I cover my salary what I make can basically cover the vast majority, if not all of our bills. And your check is mostly gravy. I've invested this much. I've saved this much. We're financially stable." And she says, "Go for it. Without, she didn't even miss a beat. She's like, "You've supported us all these years so much. It's sure, 100%. And so again, but like my one concession was like, I do creative work, obviously, but like I'm the house dad. So if there's like a vet bill, a vet, like take the vets, pick up the stuff, do things around the house. That's me. I am the person there to cover things that slip through the cracks."
And I love how this is the perfect example of a non-sexist story, because here I am, the female, asking the male, "Hey, is it okay if I work less so that I can do more art?" But here you are, being the man, asking the wife, "Is it okay if I do more?" So, and I'm just sort of repeating this because obviously there will always be people say, "Well, that's easy because you're the wife, your husband should do this." You know what? I just considering the shit that's been working.
Well, I mean, there's but we're both doing it from a place of like, okay, so it's not like I just like, "Hey, honey,
No,
I want
you're
to
not
not work.
asking.
I'm
Yeah.
lazy." No, it's one of those. Yeah, exactly. But I came in like, "Hey, I've saved this much over the years. We've invested this much over the years. We are financially set. I've done the homework ahead of time, and here's the legwork, and here's here's what I'm looking at the numbers, And when we moved, for example, even when we moved to where we moved to, so my son could go to the school he's into, that she's actually teaching at, she had to take a pay cut because the county we were living in paid more than the county we moved to. But even still, where she's like, "Is this cool?" I'm like, 100% cool. Like, don't worry about it. We have this, and this. We are covered, and we have that luxury, foresight, however you want. We have that opportunity to live the way that we want to live. We've worked very hard to get to where we're at. It's not like this was not given to us. However, we're not going to be so bold as like say, anybody can do it. It's hard work, but it is a luxury to live the way we live. And I'm cool with that. Now, that said, my wife, she would not be able to do what I do. Not artistically means she does not do well with free time. She needs to work. It's just mentality. She has to have that kind of like, I need this, because summertime's actually hard for her.
Yeah, 3
We're in
months
the middle
off,
of the summer
yeah.
now, and it's it's about 90 days. Yeah, it's rough, because as long as she has tasks, she's good. But she's gotten she's already upstairs. Not gonna hear me. But I can lovingly refer to her as the Adequate Hulk because she's gotten into weight training now, and it's like, so when she gets hungry and grumpy, it's like, so.
I still love the Adequate Hulk. Yeah.
She's not bad, and she's not incredible yet. She's not she's not a substandard Hulk.
I wanna repeat something you said there for a second. You said it's hard work, and I think that is worth repeating because obviously we are not, being an artist, or even being a part-time artist, or especially being a full-time artist. It's not about working less for a boss so that you have more free time to make art. Even making art is work, and everything else you need to do around that is even harder work. Everything that is not art, that is related to your art, is I dare say hard. Heavy work. It's heavier. It's harder. It's more difficult. It's so. Anyone who now thinks like, "Hey, I want to be a full-time artist, or I want to be a part-time artist," it's not a walk in the park. I think being an artist is very difficult, and it's especially in today's world, and I can only imagine things being different in the US, but um life is expensive right now. And if there's one thing, and if there's one thing that is constantly under fire, it's art, whether that's because of AI or whether that's because people have less and less money to spend, so why would they spend it on art? There are various discussions going on about that whole theme. So you are constantly swimming against the stream. You're constantly trying to show the world, "Hey, my work is worth your money," because of whatever reasons you can identify with. So I don't know, like I guess this ties into the like how do we find time and energy and headspace, you know? I love art. I love what I do, but man, if I, you know what? If I was not at least half crazy, I think I would be exhausted at this point.
Well, that's yeah, 100%. Like again, it's the whole reward thing we were saying earlier. Like you need to have some sorts of like. Now, hang on, let me rewind that. Some people need external gratification. Someone pats you on the head, says "good job." Some people, it's internal, like they are just like perpetual motion machine. It's a wellspring that comes from inside. It has to be pushed out. Both artists exist, and both artists are right. So it is not a one is good, one is bad, one is right, one is wrong. But for the people that need the external validation, it's a little bit harder because is this worth it? Is my time worth it? Is my effort worth it? There's all the philosophical like, well, if it's worth it to you, you'll find that like that's hard. And it's all kind of like shut up. Like I like pay me, praise me, something like you do, not like your mom or your friends who like it and not give you critique. I mean, like sometimes that's you need some kind of like just something to get you over the next hill, the next mile. It's kind of like when you're running a marathon, you just like, what gets you through the next mile, to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, So obviously
until you can get to stick that sticker on your car and say I ran a marathon.
You son of a bitch. Yeah. Oh, that thing.
I was listening to that one episode.
Right.
I suddenly remembered the sticker.
Oh yeah, I people give me shit for that too. I'm not being mean, but at the same time, like I'm not incorrect either. Like if you cared about your marathon, that's cool. But the moment you need to put a sticker on your car, it's about you wanting people to see that you ran the marathon.
It's about the external validation.
Right. So and again, it's not that like, okay, listen, we're all a little narcissist, and that's fine. Just don't act like you're not. That's the thing. It's just like, so if someone says, hey, that's a little, you don't need to put the sticker on there. Like, well, I ran the, like, yeah, I won't be like, I did. Just lean into it. Yep, I did. And I you didn't. Haha. Moving on. Like, that's the thing. Don't, like, just admit it. Like, we're all a little narcissists at a certain age, so it's okay.
I guess we're all at least half crazy. And I think that's kind of mandatory when you are some form of artist.
Well, that's the Alice in Wonderland. We're all mad down here, kind of thing. And that's okay. That's the beauty of the creative mind is like, it's maddening, and like, and the worst is like, especially like if no matter how good you are at what you do, there's someone or someone you envy who is better, at least in your mind, they're better. And you hate it. It drives you crazy. Are they crazy? Are they so? It's the even though it wasn't historically accurate, it's a Salieri and Mozart type of thing. And it's like someone like I train, I work, and I'm renowned. But then here, along comes blank. Like I don't know an indie author that doesn't have love and jealousy for Matt Dinniman. Like right. It's like, Matt's a wonderful person, but like at the same time, like every time, like we've brought multiple occasions only because it's very germane. You scroll past something and like, hey, look, there's another announcement about Dungeon Crawler Carl. Cool, very cool. But there comes a point where people are like, I know people who are like they're done. Like they are done. And but it's not anger.
Yeah, but I think it's different when I don't think these people are done because of Matt Dinniman or because of Dungeon Crawler Carl or whatever specific example you can give. I think at a certain point people are done with the hype, the insane amount of hype that is behind something.
Well, there's the hype, but there's also the thing, especially in that creative field, I'm working hard to. The answer always comes down to the same thing, whether it doesn't matter if it's writing or whatever. Why not me? That's it. Why not me? And I have met, like, I stood outside this one convention once and, I was listening to some young authors and they were like, basically like, why not me? And it's okay. It's an honest question. Why did so-and-so get famous, but not me, And
you know what? I think it can make someone or it can break someone. I think that thought process is very important to the development of the self. And I don't want to sort of reach into this like super high psychology sort of field here, but jealousy is not necessarily a bad thing. When you're jealous, when you're like, why he, not me? Why she, not me? It can really trigger something in you to do better, to become better, to, hone your craft, to just excel or start excelling at what you do.
Yeah. For some people it works that way. For some people, because it's circling it back to the main topic of time, like, when things like that happens, do you now find the time to push yourself? Do you find the time to study what you maybe did right, did wrong? Or do you lament it's just not you? I will say this. I mean, this is just from my personal experience. There was a book I read many years ago that I was like, oh, this is is an indie book. It was right about the time CreateSpace was exploding up in Amazon like that. And it was a good book. It was, I think it was about superheroes and zombies, and it was a fun series of books. I'm like, this is, it's fun. It's quirky. It's weird. It's different. I like the author a lot. I was like, oh, this is clearly publishable, but I didn't realize, or they can self-publish. Doesn't matter. Then I read another book, and it was called The Confessions of a D-list Supervillain. I'm like, if this can get published, then I can get published. Well, that turns out that guy became my very first publisher. The guy who wrote The Confessions of a D-list Supervillain, became my first publisher. He was like a guy, had an idea, blah, blah, blah. He opened I bounced around, I got picked up by this one publishing house, let go, another one let go, et cetera, et cetera. I made this circle, but long story short, I got around to Jim, who had wrote the book, Jim Bernheimer, and he opened up his own small publishing company. And I was like, so that's my first, I looked at if this guy can do it, then I can do it, kind of thing. And then he was my first publisher, and I learned a lot from him in the first few years of writing. Cause it's it lit a fire in me saying, work harder, that's all, just work harder, cause when your shot comes, you have to be ready. That's all, right. So doesn't have to be perfect. Just be good, be ready, so.
Yeah. And I think along these lines, I feel another episode coming up, another subject for the next episode, because a couple of weeks ago, I sent you this video of this lady on YouTube who basically, she wasn't yelling yet, but she was pretty fierce in what she was talking about, in terms of the writing industry, how it works.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And how she basically just said something like, any publishing house only wants one person to benefit from the deal, and that's the publishing house. And she made it sound really black and white, but I will say to you again then, I think, especially considering everything we just said and we talked about, there is a level of truth in what she said, and I feel like it is interesting to dig into that a little bit deeper another time.
Not another time, but I will tease that one a smidge. Like when I was with when I was with my first none of this is secret. Well, at the time, I don't even think they were the same publishing house anymore. Permuted Press was my first publishing house that picked me up, gave me a shot, blah blah blah. And after the fact, I realized that the management had taken over. They're getting up a lot of artists, a lot of creators, a lot of writers, wholesale, just sweeping out, just pulling everybody in, just to see what happens, kind of thing. Because it was being run like a music studio, which is sign everybody, see what cream rises to the top, and after a period of time, just let everybody else go, and see what. But during one of the all calls. Yeah, and during one of the all calls where the president was on the phone, everybody wants to sit on this online meeting where all the authors just point of fact said there's only a certain percentage of you that will actually make money, and that will pay for the other acts, basically the other authors, and when you get your shot, we'll see what happens, kind of thing, because you're in a queue, you're just waiting in line for them to now it's your turn for them to edit your book, do the cover, do the layouts, blah blah blah, but that's traditional publishing, and very, very few pays for the rest. And it's that's extremely true, and it's hurtful, but it's true.
Yeah. And it's something I want to delve a little deeper in. Yes.
Please. Yeah, that sounds good.
That.
Yeah.
Before we do that, we have reached the point where we ask our question. Obviously, the no-brainer is, how do you make time, find energy, find headspace, to keep creating, if art is not your full-time job. But what I also thought what would maybe be a fun thing to do, since I now have some guest artists every now and then, Gib, can you come up with what?
Sorry.
Oh, you're like shock, gasp, horror, lightning crackle. Okay.
Gasp, horror, lightning crackle. Yep.
I thought it may be fun if you would come up with a question for the next artist.
For the next artist, not for me. For the person that's going to replace me. Got it. I do it right now, or
a question.
Oh.
Yes.
All right.
from the top
Why
of
aren't
your
you
head.
as good an interviewer as Gibson? Why do you think you have the ability to carry his job? No, I don't fucking know. Like it's just like, what? Okay, seriously, but it's.
What makes you better than NK Gibson?
Where do you want to be? Like you ask me all the time. One of my favorite comments you've ever asked me, like even when we were just on the sides, like, what do you consider to be success? And that is a very strong, very personal, very fluctuating question. Or like the question is the same, but the answer is always interesting. What people define success. So that's always a great one to go with for your next guest.
I like that a lot. And the funny thing is that if I'm going to ask this same question to that next person, they will come back with a question for you.
Okay.
So prepare. No, this could potentially be very fun. Yeah, exactly. Like this could be a very interesting back and forth between people who do not know each other. So I figured it'd be a fun little experiment.
Well, yeah, it's just one of those like things like, like you have different friend groups and you want your friend groups to meet each other. It's just because like I'm going to embarrass you in Dutchlandia. Is that what's going to happen? Or
No, not at all. I honestly, I'm actually being very sincere about this.
Sure.
For me, it's really an experiment to see,
they're not
to see what
they're not going
answers
to take your
are
windmill
gonna
away.
come from.
If I mess up, so I'm just saying. So
No.
all right.
Okay. All right. We'll see what happens. In any case, for the audience, viewers, listeners, the question for you this week is: how do you find the time and energy, and whatever else you need to be creative if you still have a day job, if you have a family, like if art is your second thing to do on a day? Drop that in the comments because we are really, really curious about how you fill in that time.
100%.
Yes, exactly. 1000%, dare I say. Also, if you haven't yet, this is your cue to hit that like and subscribe button, or follow us on Spotify or wherever else you can find us. We are at 16 followers out of our first 50. We are looking for 50 followers before we give away a copy of the Illustrated Technomancer. So hit that button because we need more. You want to add something?
Nope, I'm good.
We're good.
You're doing great.
Thank you. I was on a roll there.
You were on a roll. I was pretty impressed. So
I've been practicing. Gib, as always, thank you so much for joining.
my pleasure, dude.
And thanks everybody for listening and tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.